Good morning, class. Class 5. Now, see page number 121, heading The Moon. Today we will study about Moon. The Moon is the natural satellite of the Earth. Moon is also known as a natural satellite of the Earth. The Moon travels around the Earth in an oval-shaped orbit. Moons travel in an oval-shaped orbit. The Moon is like a desert with plains, mountains, and valleys. It also has many craters which are holes created when space objects hit the moon's surface. There is no air to breathe on the moon. See, air is not there to breathe. Recently, water ice was discovered at the poles of the moon. The ice is buried beneath some of the dust in the moon's surface. The surface of the moon is scarred with millions of impact craters. These craters range in size up to many hundreds of kilometers. The most enormous craters have been flooded by lava and only parts of the outline are visible. Now, the phases of moon. There are different phases of the moon. The moon goes through phases during the lunar month. See, in the lunar month, what is done? The moon goes into throughout different phases. One lunar month is equivalent to 29.53 days, approx 30 days, which the moon takes to go from one new moon to the next. From one new moon to the next new moon, it takes approx 29.5 days to go. The shape of the moon appears to change due to the different amount of light being reflected on it. See, the shape of the moon appears to change because of different amount of light being reflected on it, and is caused by relative position of the earth, the moon and the sun. Because of their relative position, the shape of the moon appears to change as different types of light being reflected on moon. The moon phase is the shape that we see, which follows the same pattern every 4 weeks. In every 4 weeks, it comes to the exact pattern or the previous pattern which we have seen 1 month before. See, day 0, page number children's, now see page number 122. Now you will see different phases of moon till 1 month, till 29.5 days, till 29 days. See, on the first day, on the 0 day, it is a new moon when no light is reflected, so the moon appears dark. This is because then the moon is between the sun and the earth, and the brightness of the sun shines on the moon. See, there is no light is reflected, so the moon appears to be dark. Because moon is between on the first day, the moon is between the sun and the earth, and the brightness of the sun shines on the moon. Day 4, the shape of the moon is like a waxing crescent, and there is a little bit of light on the moon. Now on day 4, there is a little bit of light. On day 1, there was no light reflected, and on day 4, there was a little bit light, and his illuminated surface appears to glow to full. Day 7 now comes at day 7. It is the first quarter moon, when half of the moon surface is illuminated and it looks like a half circle. It is 1/4 of the way through the lunar month. Now, day 10. It is a waxing gibbous when the moon is nearly complete but not full. Moon is complete but not full. Day 14. It is full moon when the moon is far away from the sun. See, on the day 14, the moon is far away from the sun and from the earth. It appears as a bright round disk. It appears as a bright color round disk. On 18th day, this phase is called the waning gibbous, as then it wanes, grow thinner, decreases each night. Day 22, it is the last quarter when the moon appears as a half circle again. Now, on day 22, the moon will appear half circle again. The dark side in the first quarter phase is now the light side. Day 26, it is again a waning crescent. Day 29, the new moon is repeated in each lunar month, and it is the start of new cycle. On day 29, again the cycle will renew. This was the phase of the moon till 29 days. Now, we will see landing on the moon. Two American astronauts, underline this, two American astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, are the first human beings who landed on the moon on 20 July 1969. The two astronauts named Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. These were the two human beings who were landed on the moon on 20th July 1969. The spaceship that they used to travel to the moon was named Apollo 11. Underline this also, the spaceship that they used to travel to the moon was named Apollo 11. That spaceship through which they have used, so that spaceship is known as Apollo 11. Neil Armstrong and Aldrin stayed for 2.5 hours on the moon's land. They have stayed till 2.5 hours and collected rock samples which they brought with them to the earth. They have collected some rock materials and they have brought that rock materials to the earth. Now see artificial satellites. Satellites are objects that orbit a planet. The moon is a natural satellite. Artificial satellites are those which are put into orbit by humans. What are artificial satellites? These are the satellites which are put into orbit by human beings. The first artificial satellite was Sputnik 1. This is the important line. The first artificial satellite was Sputnik 1. Question comes from this, that what is the name of the first artificial satellite? So your answer is Sputnik 1, launched by then Soviet Union, now Russia, in 1957. There are various kinds of satellites. We use satellites for different purposes, and all these satellites can be placed in one of the following categories. Now see page number 123. Communication satellites. There are different types of satellites. One is communication satellite. These satellites are used to distribute signs and signals of radio, television, mobiles and telephone calls. These are the satellites used to distribute signs and signals of radio, television, mobile and telephone calls. What are weather satellites? These are the satellites which observe the earth for weather forecasting. They are helpful in weather forecasting. Third one is navigation satellites. They help in transportation system, especially in air and water transportation. These satellites are helpful immensely in the field of transportation, in seeing the directions for the navigation purpose. Military satellites. These satellites are used for observing the different borders and territories of the countries by the respective countries to check infiltration. Now scientific satellites. These satellites are used to observe the earth for scientific purposes. These scientists use these scientific satellites for these satellites are used to observe the earth for scientific purposes. Now eclipses. There are two eclipses. One is lunar eclipse and second is solar eclipse. Eclipses occur when the earth, the moon and the sun are in a straight line. At times the moon is in between the earth and the sun, and on the contrary it is the earth that is in between the sun. Now we will study lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse occurs at full moon, when the earth comes in between the sun and the moon. See, when the position of earth is between sun and the moon, then which eclipse occur? Lunar eclipse. It is then the earth blocks the light from the sun before it can get to the moon. See, in this what is happening? That earth is blocking the light of the sun to go to the moon. So the light of the sun is not going to the moon, since moonlight is just the light which moon reflects from the sun. This will darken the moon and produce a shadow. What will happen if the sun's light will not reach to the moon? Moonlight is just the light which moon reflects from the sun. This will darken the moon. Like this, the moon will be darkened and produces a shadow. This is called an eclipse of the moon or lunar eclipse. The earth's shadow is composed of two cone-shaped components. The outer or penumbral shadow is a zone where the earth blocks parts of the sunlight. In contrast, the inner or umbral shadow is a region where the earth blocks all direction sunlight from reaching to the moon. Now see page number 124, solar eclipse. During a solar eclipse, the moon comes between the earth and the sun. In lunar eclipse, what we have seen? We have seen the earth was between sun and the moon. But now the moon will come between earth and the sun, so that the sun is fully or partially covered. This can only happen during a new moon, when the sun and the moon are in conjunction as seen from the earth. A maximum of 5 solar eclipses can occur each year on earth, with between 0 or 2 of them being total eclipses. See, total number 5 solar eclipses can be occurred. The total eclipse occur when the sun is completely obscured by the moon. Total eclipse occur when the sun is completely covered by the moon. An annular eclipse occurs when the sun and the moon are exactly in line, but the apparent size of the moon is smaller than that of the sun. A hybrid eclipse transition between a total and an annual eclipse at some point on the surface of the earth. It is visible as a total eclipse, whereas at other places it is annular. A partial eclipse occurs when the sun is partially obscured or covered by the moon. Now, what are tides? Tides are periodic rises and falls of larger bodies of the water. Tides are caused by the gravitational interaction between the earth and the moon. What are tides? Tides are caused. How the tides are caused? Tides are caused by the gravitational connection between the earth and the moon. The gravitational attraction of the moon causes the ocean to bulge out in the direction of the moon. Another bulge occurs on the opposite side. Since the earth is also pulled toward the moon and away from water on the far side. Since the earth rotates, while this happens, the two tides occur almost every day. See, one interesting fact is given in page number 125. Isaac Newton was the first person to explain tides scientifically. His explanation of the tides was published in 1686. So the chapter is completed. Thank you, class.